Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and welcome to this video where I'm going to quickly go over the basics of the Smuggler's Run DLC so you can get an idea of what you can expect when you go into it. The first thing to mention is that it appears Downforce has been reverted back to its original values. It seems that Downforce is now back to how it was before gun running. For those who aren't aware, Downforce was intentionally nerfed for the gun running update. It appears they've gone back on that decision. So that means cars like the RE7B, the Tyrus, the Italy GTB Custom, the ETR1, the Omnis and the Spectre Custom in the sports class, those vehicles where I made a video about them getting slower, they are now quicker. Now, I do need to do some more testing, which I'll be doing later today, to find out whether it is back to exactly how it was pre-gun running or something in between or something different. But it appears they are certainly quicker than what they were. This is also interesting in the terms of the Wagner as well, because the Wagner does have downforce and it was already a very, very quick car without downforce. So it will be interesting to see what lap time the Wagner can get now. It could very well be the new number one, because it was already very quick without with the downforce nerf. It's certainly the quickest downforce vehicle. The RE7B isn't the quickest downforce vehicle anymore. So, a week after the XA21, the very, very expensive XA21 becomes the new quickest car in the game, it's very possible that, just a week later, it is no longer the quickest anymore. So it's well, like I said, I will be testing it, and the testing videos for that will come later today, so you'll get the full information. So when it comes to the DLC, basically you can buy a hangar at any one of 5 locations, and it acts like a personal garage but for planes and helicopters. You can also drive in any Pegasus planes or helicopters that you have, and they will turn into personal aircraft in your hangar. Now, the hangar is going to set you back a good 2 to 3 million, depending on which one that you buy, and you'll need an extra 1.5 million for the airplane mod shop as well. Now, keep in mind that you can't even buy any of the new planes without a hangar, and you can't upgrade them without the mod shop. So you need to be spending, you're going to have to be spending a good $3, $4, $5 million to even get access to the ability to buy these new very expensive planes. But it is a pretty nice thing to have this hangar. It's basically, like I said, a regular personal vehicle garage but for planes, something that people have always been wanting for a long time. And with you being able to convert your Pegasus vehicles into the hangar vehicles as well, it's very, very nice. But there is a very, very high price tag on it also. Now, 19 new vehicles have been added to the game with this DLC, but only 9 of them are available now, which leaves 10 new vehicles that are going to be getting drip fed every week. In addition to that, the laser is going to be made purchasable for a low price of $6.5 million. So that makes 11 weeks or 3 months of drip feeding content from this DLC from whatever point they decide to start drip feeding the content. So plenty of weeks of one vehicle, this is just the rate of one vehicle every single week with no missed weeks or anything like that. There's more vehicles from this DLC that haven't been released than have been released. So you've only got 9 available now. 10 of them are still to come, and then they're also going to make the laser purchasable as well, which will be another week on its own. So out of the 20 vehicles, like I said, 11 of them are going to be drip fed. 9 of them are going to be 9 of them are available now. There are 3 supercars, there are 2 sport classic cars, 2 helicopters, and 12 planes. 13 planes if you count the laser as well. Only 1 supercar and 1 sports classic car are available now. So there's 2 supercars still to come and 1 sports classic car still to come, but that's it for cars. Only 5 cars in total. Obviously the new supercar that you can access now is the Grotti Vision. Obviously, like I said, I am going to be testing all of these vehicles when they're released, but with the Vision being one of the ones that people want to see the most, I will be testing that later on as well in a Supercars update video, so keep an eye out for that. Obviously, subscribe if you're just seeing this for the first time. And that's going to set you back a good $2.3 million, so that is a lot of money. It does have downforce, but not as much downforce as other vehicles, so it will be interesting to see where it places. It could be top 10, could be top 5. Very, very unlikely that it's going to actually be the best car in the game, so that is a high price for probably not going to be the best in terms of lap time, but we'll see what it turns out to be. In the Sports Classics class, we've got the Vapid Retinue, which is going to set you back $615,000. Quite a fun vehicle. It's more of an off-road vehicle. It has an off-road traction loss of 0.4, so it is not too bad off-road. It's a shame we can't use it against the other rally style vehicles like the Tropos and the Omnis, because it is in the Sports Classics class. We do badly need a rally class really, but you know, it seems to have been quite a popular vehicle that people want. In terms of helicopters, what you can access now is the Havoc. That will set you back 2.3 million. Pretty small helicopter. Doesn't really seem to have an awful lot of speed or maneuverability. Just to point out that with all the helicopters and the planes, the new ones at least, you can upgrade them. So you can upgrade their handling to make them more maneuverable, and you can upgrade their engine as well to make them quicker. And that's only when you have access to the vehicle mod shop in your bunker, which is going to set you back another 1.5 million. Then you can add on these upgrades and additions, and then you can also use any vehicle that's in your hangar in races as well. So previously, helicopter and plane races always used to be locked off to the stock versions of vehicles. Planes didn't have upgrades. Now they do, and if you do upgrade a vehicle, if you upgrade a plane, you can take that upgraded plane and use it in a race. So, you know, when we see the plane testing, that will be taken into account. You can't upgrade any of the old vehicles. You can change their colors. So if you have Pegasus planes or helicopters, you can change the colors of them, but you can't sell them, and you can't you can't upgrade them with all these new upgrades that the new vehicles have. You just get the ability to store them in your garage, your hangar, and then use them in a race, but it's going to be exactly the same vehicle as the stock versions of the vehicles. So just wanted to put that out there. Now, when it comes to the planes, this is where we've got an awful lot of stuff. Like I said, there's 12 planes, 13 if you count the laser, and the ones that we have now, we've basically got access to 6 new planes right now. First up is the Ultralight, which is going to set you back $650,000. That's the cheapest thing for apart from the Retinue throughout this entire DLC. That is basically a microlight glider. Quite interesting mechanics, because if you are just gliding, not actually accelerating, then you will be off the radar. So quite an understated vehicle, and it can serve you well to use that and sort of glide along nicely without being on the radar, but you do need an upgrade to the propellers for that, so that will set you back a little bit more. Then we've got the Rogue, which is going to be $1.6 million. The Alpha Z1, which is $2.1 million, kind of like a Red Bull Air Race stunt plane. The LF-22 Starling as well for $3.7 million. Then we've got the V65 Molotok, which is $4.8 million. And when it comes to races, plane races, this is actually classed as a jet, similar to a Hydra, a Bezra, and a Laser. So something to keep in mind, but it doesn't seem an awfully quick anyway. And then we've got the Tula for $5.2 million. That's the most expensive plane from this DLC that we have access to at the moment. Very interesting mechanics again with the Tula, with the ability to raise off the ground horizontally and use vertically, and then use jet to propel itself in a horizontal way to get up off the ground quickly. And also, just to go back to the LF-22 Starling, that's also very interesting, because it's basically a glider that only gets propulsion from the rocket on the back, and you can choose when to activate that rocket, and it has to, it takes time for it to recharge. So it glides for a long time, but it's only the rocket that allows you to fly it. It doesn't have normal flight mechanisms that normal planes do. So like I said, a lot of those planes do have upgrades. They have miniguns, they have missiles, bombs you can get on them as well. Obviously each one is different, but yeah, there's a lot of weaponry that you can have with these. I didn't actually check this during the stream, but I imagine that weaponry is disabled during races. But yeah, you can still upgrade these vehicles in terms of engine and handling and take them into races, and they will be a little bit quicker than what they would have otherwise been. Now onto the drip fed content. So I'm going to go through them in class order, and this is generally going to be in the same sort of order that we're going to see them released as well, but obviously, a little bit different here and there, but it's going to be the general release order within the classes. So in the Supers class, we're actually going to be getting a Batmobile. Now this is almost certainly going to be the Halloween themed, whatever week Halloween falls on for the drip feeding of content, the Vigilante is going to be the vehicle that's going to be released from that, and it's basically a Batmobile. It's going to set you back $3.8 million. It has rockets, and it's very heavy as well. So it's going to be very interesting to be using that in collisions and things. It's going to come out on top in most situations. So yeah, that's probably what we're going to get at Halloween. And like I said, we've got months and months of drip feeding from this DLC. This is going to last a long, long time. So Halloween, having the vehicle in now that we're going to get for Halloween isn't too much of a stretch. We're also getting the Coil Cyclone in the Supers class, another vehicle from Coil. Possibly an electric vehicle, not sure, but it's going to set you back $1.9 million, and it's not very good. Based on its stats, it probably should be in the sports class rather than the Supers class. It's going to be really, really slow. It's got the lowest traction in the entirety of the Supercars class, so you don't really need to have to wait for that one. With the Vigilante also having rockets as well, I wouldn't imagine that you're going to be able to use that in races, so we can just focus on the Supers video that you'll see later today, and then generally what the best is to use for a race with the latest update. We don't need to wait for the drip feeding to know that. Now the sports classics, there's the Jubochi Rapid GT Classic. That's going to be one of the drip fed vehicles. It's going to set you back $900,000, and doesn't look too bad. We're going to be interested to see how well it does in terms of performance. We've had a lot of new sports classics recently with the Infernus, the Turismo, the Cheetah Classic. A lot of new sports classics, all very, very quick. Will be interesting to see how it does. But it's good to see the sports classics get some love. Interesting that we haven't seen any muscle or sports cars for a while, but those are already very, very big classes. But yeah, certainly SUVs, sedans, coupes, things like that. They don't seem to be getting any love at all anymore. Helicopters. So we have the Havoc, but we're also going to be getting, finally, the Hunter. This is a classic GTA vehicle. It's going to set you back $3.1 million. But that's something that people have been wanting for a while because it's quite an iconic helicopter that's been in a lot of GTAs previously. So now onto the planes. We've got 7 planes that we're going to be getting throughout the drip feeding process. The first one of which should be the Bombushka. Now, this is basically, it seems like, from what people have seen, this is an air version of an MOC. So obviously the MOC, the Mobile Operations Center, was introduced with gun running. The Bombushka seems to be the plane version of that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all works out. That will set you back $4.5 million. Next up, we'll have the Mogul for $2.4 million. The Pyro, which is one I quite like, for $3.4 million. The Nakota, which is going to set you back $2 million. Then we got the Howard for $1 million. The Seabreeze for $850K. And then the Laser, that will be, obviously, that is already in the game. That is the only vehicle at the moment that you can't just drive into your hangar and store it. The Laser will become purchasable, and it will set you back a whopping $6.5 million if you want to have that in your hangar. So that's it. That is a full list. I'll put it on the screen as well, of all the vehicles that we have in the game right now and all the vehicles that are going to be drip fed. It's going to take a long time, and I'm totally when it comes to Rockstar these days, and the way that the prices that they do for everything, and the way that they drip feed the content, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, I am not bothered about releasing this information early anymore. I just want to get it out there so people know what they need to do, can spend their money wisely, is the most important thing for me. And that's what I'm going to be trying to do with the videos in the coming weeks and months, just to make sure that nobody wastes their money on something that they don't want, or wastes it on something that they think they want, and then something else comes along later on that they really would have wanted instead. So that's what we're going to try and do over the next few weeks, because we're not playing into Rockstar's drip feeding content anymore. When it comes to the missions from the hangar, obviously involving Ron this time, this is basically, the same DLC over again. Import, export, gun running, bikers. It's all the same DLC really, just with a different skin on it. This is no different. Thankfully there's no research or anything like that we saw from gun running. You can just buy all of the upgrades for the aircraft straight away, even though they are quite expensive. And the missions are the same sort of thing. Basically, import, export, biker missions, but the in the air. So you go to a location, you get a package, and you fly it back. Interestingly, the difference here though is that obviously this all has to be done in public sessions, and a slight change from previously is that if you destroy somebody else's cargo, that will reward you as well, and you can also steal it and take it back to your hangar and things like that. So there's actually even more of an incentive now, as if people needed it, to try and steal other people's stuff and ruin it for other people. So yeah, just something to keep in mind if you're thinking whether or not you want to invest in this sort of thing. Also, final thing, transform races, which were announced on the game, the Rockstar Newswire, which are going to be races where you hit a checkpoint and you go from driving a car to flying a plane. You hit another checkpoint, you go from flying a plane to being in a Blazer Aqua or going into a boat or something like that. Different type of races. They are already in the game code as well. They've all been released with this DLC. We're just, as always, waiting for Rockstar to enable it. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that we've got from this DLC. That's all the new stuff. Like I said, all the testing will be incoming very soon, and if there's other things that I've missed from this, I will be mentioning in it as well. But yeah, that seems to be everything that we've seen from this DLC. Hopefully, it's been informative video for you and lets you know what you're gonna be getting and what you are getting. Thank you all so much for watching. Obviously, remember to subscribe if this is the first video that you've seen. I do a lot of testing videos, and that will be coming very shortly as well, like I said, for the supercars. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for the support. As always, just be a little bit patient, and then the testing videos will be coming. I really appreciate it, and see you next time.